So I guess we're alive again today. Well, welcome. So today we're going to be making a pumpkin pie. Now, I cooked the pumpkin yesterday by turning the pumpkin upside down on the tray in the oven. And today I have taken the pumpkin out of this crust and I have measured 2 cups. But first we're going to make our crust. So I can't have gluten, so we're having oatmeal and a little almond flour. But oatmeal flour by itself works really well. Let me show you this apple pie that I just took out of the oven, and it's made with oatmeal flour. See, it's really flaky. It doesn't look very good, but that's because of me. I'll turn you around again. Sorry. Now you saw my hand. Okay, so I took some, you usually need 2 cups of flour and about a half as much with butter. So the best way to add your butter, you have to keep it cold. And you can take a grater and you can just grate it in because it's going to be too cold to cut. Let me see how I have to turn you so you can see this. So you just add it like this. I've already done a bunch of it in there, so I didn't have to spend so much time on here doing it. So you just cut it in like this, and the butter will make it really flaky. And the colder the butter is, the better. I mean, you can use frozen butter, but anyway, in the fridge is good enough. So then you can cut it all in with a knife, and you want to make it pea-sized. Now I have too much flour in here, but I don't care. I'm going to just do other things with this pie crust afterwards because I'll make too much. Okay, now you have to add some liquid. And the best thing is ice cold water. But you can take an egg, beat up an egg, and add a tablespoon of vinegar, and then fill the rest with ice cold water. So let's get some ice cold water in here. The only time my sink has ever got hot water in. Okay, now you won't need very much, and you don't really have to measure this. What you have to do is that as you add it, you're flaking it, flipping it around with your fork. And you don't want to add too much. That really messes it up if you add too much. So don't try to use it all. It's better to throw your egg out than to use it all up if it's already clumping together. You just want it to be able to clump together to make a ball. Okay, so when you've got enough that it's going to clump all your flour in, then you have enough. Okay? Now then you take some more flour and you put it on the board. So first we'll make a ball. And if it's a bottom crust, a pretty big ball is what you need. About a handful. Okay? And then, shouldn't have everything under the sun in your way. But sometimes that's just the way that works. Things are all in the way because that's where they got put. Okay, so then you put some flour on your board so that it won't stick to that. That's very important. And then you take this and you put it out and you flatten it a bit, and you want to keep it round. That's a big deal, is keeping it round. Oh yeah, I have to find out if I have a tray, a cooking container. Important little details, right? So, I don't really have a tray. I don't have a... Oh wait, here's a pie plate. It's very small. Okay, we'll use a small little pie plate, okay? It's not good to use aluminum. It's not good for you. That's going to be pretty big for this pie plate. Then you turn it over and you have some of your flour on here. You go from the middle out to the edges, out to the edges. Make sure that you take care of all those cracks. You turn it. Out to the edges, out to the edges. Out to the edges, out to the edges. You turn it. You got to make sure it's not sticking. Out to the edges, out to the edges. Now see all that butter? This is going to be awesome. It'll be like shortbread, won't it? Minus the sugar. Now it seems to be getting a little sticking on there. Let's flip it over. And we'll put a little more flour on the top. We don't want it to stick. Out to the edges, out to the edges. Now, regular flour will work better than this. This doesn't have as much gluten. It has no gluten. It's oatmeal, so oatmeal has its own kind of sticky stuff. This is pretty thick, but that's okay. You like it thick. You don't want it too thin because then it won't work properly. So with a pumpkin pie, you only need one pie crust. This appears to be stuck in the middle. Use something flat. Go under there. Now, it has a memory, so if you maul it about, and it'll go back to the way you made it. So let's make it a little bigger. You don't want to push too hard because you don't want to make it stick. So it's going to have to be about 1 inch bigger than this. So this works. Now it's stuck again. I've run out of flour, so I don't have any more to put down underneath it. Okay, then you take your rolling pin and you lay it on the side and you put your fingers under the crust and you roll it up onto the rolling pin like this. You put down your pie plate, you lift it up and you drape it so it's over the crust, and then I'm going to use something bigger than this because this is going to make it too small. So hold everything while we figure this out. I have another yellow, so I'm going to use this. This will work. So once again, we roll it onto the rolling pin. Don't try and make it too long, and then don't try and stretch it. So you just come over to the edge, and then you lay it over. Oh shoot! Well, it's not flour. It's oat flour. This happened on my other one too. Oh dear. Oh dear, oh dear. Okay, we're going to go back to using the little one. So we put it on here. You can roll it out a little more if you want. But you go from the middle out. You don't want to stretch it. I've never used oatmeal for a crust before, but it worked really well on that last one. Of course, it falls apart like this. Maybe it has to be wetter, but I don't think that'll work either. Okay, there you go. And then you lift it up and you let it bend it down in. Lift it up and bend it down in. Lift it up and bend it down in. So there's no pulling on it. Okay, and then you can take a knife and you cut it off way out at the very outside edge because it's going to shrink a little bit. At least white flour will shrink a little bit. Okay, now to cook this, you have to cook a single crust first before you do it. And I forget what the temperature is, if it's 375 or if it's, let's start it there. Let's see, I'll look up pies. I always use the Joy of Cooking. If you can find one online, get it. It's worth its weight in gold. Everything you could ever want to know is in there. And you can look things up online, but I find that you have to scroll a lot to find what you want. Okay, so pie crust. Pies. Crusts. There's many kind of pie crusts. Anyway, we'll just go to the first one. Pie crust, about, for filled pies. $6.39. It's at the beginning of the pies, naturally. $6.39. Okay, so 2 cups of flour, a teaspoon of salt, 2/3 of a cup of leaf lard or shortening, 2 tablespoons of chilled butter, 4 tablespoons of water, 1 teaspoon. Say, Sumi, how to know how to, that's for 1 9-inch pie. Where does it say about how long to cook it? Unfilled shells, whether for individual or big pies, are baked in a preheated 450-degree oven unless otherwise noted, 10 to 12 minutes or until lightly browned. So 450, okay? The same as if you were making 3. Same as if you were... Okay, 350. Now, then you put this in there and you're going to let it cook until it's light brown. And then you'll take it out and fill it up. So, now, we can use all this again. Boy, this is really crumbly, isn't it? I suppose there's things you could add to make it not crumbly. But pie crusts are supposed to be crumbly. Now, you should keep a damp cloth over that so it won't dry out. So, take a tea towel or a cloth and wet it. And put this over your pie crust stuff. You can use it later. Okay, so now we're going to make our pumpkin stuff. Let's get another bowl. Here is a bowl, actually. And I was going to use the pie recipe in here. Pumpkin pie. Okay, so preheat oven to 425. Mix well until blended. 2 cups of cooked or canned pumpkin. So here's my 2 cups of cooked or canned pumpkin. Where's my measuring numbers? This light above me has gone out. So 2 cups of pumpkin. And then you add to that 1.5 cups of undiluted evaporated milk or rich cream. So I'm going to add coconut cream. Not coconut milk, but coconut cream. I don't know. I was going to add coconut milk, but anyway, this is just fun. So we add that, and then we add 1/4 cup of brown sugar and 1/2 cup of white sugar, or that's 3/4 of a cup. So I just use xylitol. Where'd my xylitol bag go? This is xylitol. I think it comes from corn. Xylitol resembles sugar in consistency, taste. It can be used as a sweetener substitute in most recipes. It's sourced from non-GMO corn. And it has, per tablespoon, it has 10 calories. So it has some calories, but... Okay, so we add the xylitol. And then we have a half a teaspoon of salt. Where's the salt? So you measure it in your hand. You already know how much a teaspoon is. And this is half of a teaspoon of salt. And a teaspoon of cinnamon. Are we having fun? Teaspoon of cinnamon. Okay, a teaspoon of cinnamon and a half a teaspoon of ginger. And nutmeg or allspice. This is allspice. Use a quarter teaspoon of nutmeg or allspice. Okay, because that's strong. And then an eighth of a teaspoon of cloves, which is even stronger. Okay, that's very thin, so it doesn't look as, it's not as much as it looks like. Okay, then 2 slightly beaten eggs. Boy, that smells good. So you put your eggs into something else, because if your eggs are bad, you don't want to find that out after you've got everything in the thing. So there's 1 egg. And it's going to be slightly beaten once I get it in there and start messing it up. And another egg. So 2 eggs, okay? Put that in. Okay, and then we're going to move this out of the way. And we'll get our blender going. This is my blender. Okay. Now, this is for a 9-inch pie, and this is not that big. So maybe I'll make another one in another container. So what do we've got here? That's a cute little blender. Yes, I use this sort of things for soap, you know, not this one, but they're really good for whisking. They're not very expensive either. Of course, I don't know what not very expensive means. It depends how much money you have. Okay, and now I have to cook this first, and then I'm going to pour that in and cook it in there. But it looks like my oven is not ready yet, just because I didn't do it ahead of time. What did you say? Is green your favorite color? Yes, my favorite color is green. Definitely. Okay, now I have more than I'm going to need, so let's do some more crust while we wait for the thing to finish. For the oven to preheat properly. But I don't know what I'm going to use for a container for it. I do know. This was my mother's. It's an interesting affair. So that is made out of aluminum, I imagine. What does it say on it? Continent. Who knows? That's what it says. Can you read it? I don't know what it says. Well, anyway, it says something. So I'm going to use this container for, I'm going to use this for my, my other pie. So now we have to add more. I think we have to add a little more water, but maybe not. Let's just start without it. Let's put oats down here because I don't have any more oatmeal. I mean, I don't have any flour ground up. So we'll just use oats because I feel like it. Okay, so we'll take this. The bottom crust should be pretty big, bigger than your handful. Wish it was brighter in here. Why am I using this under the place where it's not very bright? Okay, now that's ready. So I'll put this in for 10 minutes. This was my pie crust, right? I'm going to push the timer 10 to 12 and push start or else it won't work. Okay, so then I've never done this with oats on the bottom before. I've always used you have to flatten it so you've got a flat thing, but you want the edges to stick together, so don't get too carried away with flattening it unless you push the edges back together first. Okay, and then you roll it out, start at the middle and you go out from the middle, and then you fix the corners, the edges again. You turn it around, make sure it's not going to stick. Out from the middle. Oops. You don't want it to stick to your rolling pin either. Maybe I have to use some other kind of flour. Let's use chickpea flour. Because I have it. Might as well use it, right? Okay, so we'll go out from the middle, out to the edges. See how it's all falling apart? So you have to keep pushing it together. It's just got a lot of butter in it, so it's going to do that. I'm not sure about using chickpea flour in this because it's not cooked, but I guess it will cook in the oven when I'm cooking the pie crust. When you use white flour, it's a whole different ball game. And I imagine there are things you can add that will make this not do that. I think I'll just fill it in. Don't worry about it if it's not a perfect pie crust, but this will be a very flaky pie crust. Trust me on that. Because the butter is not pie, right? It's not crust. Butter is all going to melt. And it's going to be in between the layers and be very flaky. That held together better. You have to be gentle with yourself and not expect perfection, unless you're one of those perfection people. And then you have a hard life ahead, I guess. Okay. We'll go again. Make it a little bigger. Make sure it didn't stick. It's trying to stick. There we go. Okay, is that big enough yet? Let's take our bowl and find out. Put the bowl there, and it should be an inch bigger. Well, this is 2 inches tall, so it's going to need to be a little bigger than that. And the sides are straight, which means that this is going to break when I put it in. It's going to flop over. So maybe we'll just go with it the way it is. So first of all, you take your rolling pin, you put it on the edge, you take the edge of the pie crust and with your fingertips and you roll it up. Definitely going to break. This is almond flour and oatmeal flour. Okay. And then now because the edges are going to break, I'm going to try and roll it out and ease it down into the pan while I'm letting it go. And then I'll mend it all in here. This is what you do when you don't have the right ingredients and the right pan, and this is for how you do things when you don't have a store that you're going to run to and buy something else from. And you feel better about what you created because you did it in spite of not having everything. You can still eat and feed your family, and if you don't think it looks very good, just cut the pie and give it on a plate and don't let them see what it looks like. Mine usually do look better than this, and it's so buttery that it's sticking together very well. So I don't have to, otherwise I would usually put water and then glue everything back in place. But the biggest thing about pie that you want is that it's going to be flaky, and that's from having all that butter, so it's definitely going to be flaky. Okay. And it's not going to end up sticking to the pan because it's all butter. There, doesn't that look nice? Let's see what it tastes like. Butter. Okay. Okay, now this has to be cooked before I add my pumpkin pie stuff, and that has 3 minutes left. So, what do? Let's wash our hands. Our hands. Your hands and my hands. So, are you having fun today? Cooking after Thanksgiving? But that's only today. Oops. The other people that watch this will not be cooking after Thanksgiving. They'll just be cooking. Okay, 2 minutes and a half. Let's play the violin. What shall I play? Let's see what I can make out of here. Can you hear it? I don't know if it'll come through very well. I know that when my son is playing the piano for me on a video, like on Messenger video, it doesn't come through right. 1 minute and 8 seconds. You're almost ready. Let's do a Christmas thing. I'll never be able to watch this video because I don't ever want to hear myself play so badly. 9 people are watching this and 1 thumbs up. Now. Okay. We have 2 seconds left. Look at that. Timer stop. Take it out of the oven. I should really vacuum all that burnt popcorn out of here. So there's the pie crust. So now we will into this pour our, let's put this in to cook now for 10 minutes. Timer, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, start. Okay, so now we'll pour our pumpkin pie stuff into here. Now, if you're making it at home from a can, it's going to be much darker than this. This is on all this oatmeal here, so it's a little bit crooked. There, but this can go in the oven soon. And what did it say about how hot? It said 425. Bake 15 minutes at 425, then reduce the heat to 350. Okay then. And so what is our temperature? I forget how to know that. 450. Okay, so in 10 minutes I guess I'll put this in. Or I could put it in earlier, suffer the consequences. But why do that? Except I'm getting tired of making this video. Now what do we do? Do I play another song? You asked for it. Okay, how about My Grandfather's Clock? I like that one. My grandfather used to play this on his harmonica. You know, it works a lot better after I've played it a few times. much of that at a time before I know what it sounds like. Hey, why isn't this timer on anymore? Oh no, how long has it been? Oh, look, all of you that immediately liked. You're so good, my friends. All right, I don't know how many minutes it's been. My timer turned off when I checked the time. So let's say, I'll just have to watch it and see when it turns brown. Oh, you didn't see all that smoke come out, did you? No, no. The popcorn has not been at this temperature yet, you see. Okay, I'm going to put this in because I'm tired of waiting. Anyway, I don't know, maybe I don't even have to put it in because you're going to go as soon as I put it in, aren't you? And then I'll show you a picture of it in the next video because it would be silly to keep talking to you for another 45 minutes playing the violin for you. You would really, I would get some thumbs downs. Happy. There's a song. Is you happy? You gotta be happy. You got to be 100%, I suppose. Is you happy? You gotta be happy. You got to be 100%. Pick your chin up off the floor. Are you struck by some disease? I don't forget all the words, but it's by Buddy What's-His Name and the Other Fellers. It's a real name, Buddy What's-His Name and the Others. Since you were 14, wow. That's a long time, isn't it? And those are very formative years, you know. I lived in a grass hut on a mountain in Jamaica when I was 17. But you know, as I figured out, like, I don't think I was actually 17. I think I might have been 19 or 20. Maybe 19 or 18. I don't know. Because I graduated school. I graduated after grade 11 because all I needed was Spanish. All I needed was grade 12 English. Because I had taken Spanish. I'd gone to Mexico in '69 when I was grade 9. That's how I remember what year. And I was 14. Is there any advice you would give for your young folk? Yes, just be happy and enjoy life and don't worry what other people think. Don't worry about that. And rejection hurts. Rejection is very painful. So try not to reject people. And I just read this thing, which is SCARF. S is for status. And you feel good when somebody thinks well of you. So whatever you do well, it feels good so make other people feel good. And they'll like you, I think. C is, we'll come back to that. SCA. A is, I remember the first oh, you watched when I made brownies. Yes, I used to make a lot of brownies. Chocolate is very addicting, and once you have some, you have to have more. If you make it today, you're going to have to make it tomorrow, so you might as well make 5 batches at once, and then you're ready. But then you gain a lot of weight. Let me see, what was the A? Acceptance? No, it was, oh man, SCAR was... Well, R had something to do with being in the group. And that if you feel like you're in the group, then you want to go there. And when you're a teenager, that really makes a lot of difference. So try and incorporate people in your group and make them feel good. You are such a great woman. Ha ha ha. Well, you're my new best friend, obviously. Let's see. I almost thought you were spelling out my name. My name is Scarlett. Oh, Scarlett. Hi. That's my daughter's name. It's not the name I gave her. It's the name that I didn't like when she told me she was going to change her name. She was a teenager. You know how it is when you're a teenager. Anyway, so what else is my advice? Let me go get, what does it mean, low battery? Oh dear, it could stop any moment. Let me go get that piece of paper, because that's a really good, cool thing I read. Okay, so this is university level stuff. So SCARF is a brain-based model for collaborating with and influencing others. So it starts with, this is by David Rock, and this was in some research journal, Neuro Leadership Journal. Okay, so it talks about, we always have this automatic approach and avoid that goes on. So Status, the Status Syndrome is a good book by Michael Marmot. How social standing affects our health and longevity. He says that the status is the most significant determinant of human longevity and health, even controlling for education and income. So if people think well of you for whatever reason, it makes you feel better. So you have to surround yourself with people that make you feel good and avoid people that make you feel bad. If people are making you feel bad, then you don't need to spend time there. So you have to keep reducing your status threat. A status threat can occur through giving advice or instructions or simply suggesting someone is slightly ineffective at a task. So, you know, like when you're in school and when you're in high school especially, you're rejected by everybody who's not in your group. And I call it constrictive criticism. When someone wants to give you constructive criticism, I call it constrictive criticism because that's exactly how it feels. So then the next thing is certainty. Oh yes, so certainty, if you know, when you have even a small amount of uncertainty, it generates an error response in this orbital frontal cortex. And this takes attention away from one's goals, forcing attention to the error. If someone is not telling you the whole truth or acting incongruously, the resulting uncertainty can fire up errors in the OFC. This is like having a flashing printer icon on your desktop when the paper is jammed. Larger uncertainties, like not knowing your boss's expectations or if your job is secure, can be highly debilitating. So this is going around right now. Everything got locked down. So many people lost their jobs. Everything was uncertain. Can we keep the house? Will we have to move? Will we graduate? Okay, so the act of creating a sense of certainty is rewarding. Examples are everywhere in daily life. Music that has simple repeating patterns is rewarding because of the ability to predict the flow of information. So now if I want to go and hang out with a certain group, but I'm not sure if they want me to be there, I'm not sure who's going to be there, and I'm kind of weird, and I get rejected an awful lot. So I don't know, maybe I won't go, right? I want to stay where I'm safe. Of course, that can lead to agoraphobia, so you have to not always do that. Then autonomy, SCA, autonomy. That's the perception of exerting control over one's environment, a sensation of having choices. So if you're in a situation where you have no choice, you're not going to feel good. And if any one of these things is not being met, your whole life feels out of whack. You know, like, anyway. So autonomy, it's also in psychology, they refer to it as the locus of control. So for instance, if you're in a hospital and you can administer your own medication because you've got a tube and you just have to push something, then you're going to get better faster and you're going to feel better. But if you feel like everything is, you have, like if you're married to somebody who is extremely controlling and you don't feel like you have any choices, you've got to do this, you've got to do that, don't you dare do this, don't you do that. It messes with you. It messes with you and you're not content. Okay, relatedness. Relatedness involves deciding whether others are in or out of a social group. Oh, look at this. We've used up time and now our pie is ready, or our pie crust is ready. So here it is. It's looking a little golden on the edges. I try not to throw it on the floor, slip out of my hands or anything. So that was, the next one was relatedness. Relatedness involves deciding whether you're in or out of a social group. So that's right. So whether someone is friend or foe, relatedness is a driver of behavior in many types of teams. I don't like team things. You know, like the latest thing in education is that you all get together in a team and you work together, and it's always one person that does all the work and everybody else is late and they do a sloppy job and it doesn't really fit together and the really good person has to fix it all. I don't like that. I don't think that's a very good way to learn. So now, when you don't feel like you're in the group, when you know that other people have opinions about you that are negative, It fires the same part of your brain as when you're hit. Physical pain fires your brain the same way as if you're rejected. And so going into a group, you don't have to actually be rejected, but just not feeling like you're part of the group. Like there's a lot of times I go to certain places and I go in and I'll walk around and there's all these things going on and I just don't feel like I'm part of it. And perhaps you have to stay and wait a while and pretend you're part of it until you become part of it. But it's kind of painful and it's easier not to be there. And then fairness. I didn't really read this very much. But you know what I've learned is that all these things, God, I mean, I don't know what your religions are, what you feel about that, but God accepts you exactly as you are right now. Even though you do things wrong, you know, you feel bad about it, you change. That's what repenting is just moving on and changing. And you're completely forgiven. And you can move away from it. And you don't have to hold on to all the bad guilt of what you said. And you know, you try and make it up and be better. But so our status, we're Heavenly Father's children. So our status is always number one. Like we are right up there. We're his kids. And certainty. He's the same yesterday, today, and tomorrow. And relatedness, autonomy. We have total freedom of choice. We can choose to do this or that, or not do this or not do that. We can be mean, we can be nice. We have complete autonomy. And related to us, are we in or out of a social group? Well, we're totally in with the Lord. Always. We're always one of his kids, and he's always there. I can always take his hand and think, I can't do this. This is too much. If I hold his hand and say, okay, if you do it with me, I'll just come along because I know it'll be okay. And fairness, he's always fair. You never get the raw deal. And all the trials you get, the trials are stepping stones. It's like stairs. And you've got trials from the time you're born till the time you die. And they get harder. But you have tools. So every time you have a trial, like you can't walk, you're little, you can't walk, and you fall down, bummer. But you learn which muscles to use. And so the next time you don't have that trial, the next thing is, something else. So with each trial that we overcome, we get a tool. And by the time I'm 66, and by my age, I have lots of tools in my toolbox. I know that if life sucks, just be patient. It'll get better. Just do something else for a while. And trials, you never get more than you can handle. So whatever trials you get today, you've already got the tools for them from the other trials that you've been through. So you better keep your mouth shut because otherwise things get worse. Or you know that if these people don't like you, I don't have to stay here. I've got autonomy. I can leave and do something else. And if you have to stay there, you can think about how accepted you are with God and or the universe or whatever you want to think of it. But you don't have to. Like I can make an apple pie now because I know the tools how to do it. I have made so many of them in my life. Usually when I make one, I make 9 or 20 and I put them all in the freezer. And so when I start to make a pie, it's not like, oh no, how am I going to do it? What do I do? Well, I know which ingredients to use, and I even know that if I don't have those ingredients, what to substitute. This is a great book also, this Joy of Cooking, because in the back of the book, I should turn that down to 425 now. So in the back of and somewhere in the book it has substitutions, and it'll tell you that if you don't have this ingredient, you can use this one. Like, you can use eggs instead of, as a binding. No, if you don't have eggs, you can use oatmeal, right? Well, the first pie is amazing. Look at this one. This is the apple pie. I know, it doesn't look like the apple pies you've seen, but it's amazing. And look at this crust. Try not to get my hair in it. Look at this crust. It falls apart. It's amazing. It tastes great. And see, you put the egg on it and see how it got brown like that? And the xylitol, I sprinkle xylitol on top of it, and anyway, it turned out good though. So now we can put this in the oven. What is this little speck? Okay, this goes in here. My, it's hot in this oven. Okay, and this is, I'll add my pie stuff to this one now. Oh, I remember. And everything you go through in life has a purpose. And horrible things that happen to people have a wonderful purpose. You will gain experience and you will have knowledge. And you have to go through all those things to know about it, because otherwise, well, you just don't know. Anyway, you might think it's not important to know, but it is. So there's the rest of the pie, which I will also stick in here now. Looks a little runny. It might not work, but if it doesn't work, it's because I should add more eggs. I think what it is that the homemade, or this pumpkin here that I cooked the other day, you're still waiting for the good things to happen. Yes, well, they will come, but you're learning. And think of, oh, so anyway, when you use this stuff, it can be more watery than if you use a pie crust, from the can. So you might want to alter it a bit, like use more flour or use another egg or something. But you have to make it from the can first. And there used to be a really good recipe on the back of the pumpkin pie. Recipe as shown and baking directions on the reverse. So there's always been pie recipe on the can. But see how good that looks? And it can turn out that good if you use the ingredients they say. And then you have to figure out what you need to change. If this turns out too watery, then you just adjust your recipe next time. What did you just say? Oh yeah, you're still waiting for good things to happen. Now, one day I had so much trouble in my life. How long is that supposed to be in? 45 minutes? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 10, 20, 34, oh, 50. And start. Okay, so once upon a time I had to drive a long time, and my life was really tough, and I thought, what are my problems? And so I started writing down all my problems. And I didn't have food, and I didn't have money, and I didn't have, there were many needs that weren't being met. And I thought, okay, now let's go through this list. If God gave me these problems, what was the reason? So what can I learn from not having any money? Well, I could learn to be frugal. I could learn to go without. I use it up, wear it out, make it do or do without. And then the next thing, I didn't have food. Well, no food. Well, we can lose weight. We can have, we can have alternate things. I mean, there's always something somewhere. And as I went through them all, you're going to lose the house or whatever. I didn't lose the house, but if, it'd be, well, I was going to learn what it's like, what loss is like. Are you better than the Savior? He lost everything, right? So you can learn, and as I went through all these many, many problems I had, there was like 20. And I realized that, my goodness, if I'm going to become like my heavenly parents, I'm going to have to develop the characteristics that they have. So each one of these trials will help me to develop those characteristics. And I thought, I'm going to be a pretty amazing person if I learn from all these problems. So that's how you can look at your problems. But you do have the tools to use to deal with everything. And you never get more than you can handle. You may need a break, but probably if you pray, read the scriptures, it really makes your problems, puts them in much better perspective. All right, is that all? What else? Pie's in the oven. Both pies are in the oven. We're not going to wait for 45 minutes because because I feel like going and sitting down. And it's been an hour already. So thank you all for your thumbs up. Yes, and you can be grateful if you say thank you for your problems, even if your child was just hit by a car. There's something that you can learn from this. And they didn't have to stay on the earth and learn they didn't have to go through all those trials to get back. They already were pretty good. They were pretty pure. And they only needed to be here, get a body, a physical body, and then they could go home early. So we don't know why. And we'll know that all one day. We will know as we are known and see as we are seen. But have faith, because if you have faith and you act as if, you'll have miracles. Faith, act, miracle. That's a big deal. Faith, act, miracle. And hold his hand. Anyway, so there's my how to make apple pie and pumpkin pie. This is pumpkin pie. I'll put a picture of the finished pumpkin pie on for the front of this later. Faith, hope, and charity, yes. But if you don't have miracles and you want miracles, study miracles and increase your faith. If you can have more faith, just even a tiny bit of faith, and pretend you believe it's going to happen, believe. You'll be amazed at what happens, but it's all according to the Lord's plan. You might want to go on a picnic on Saturday and you want good weather, and if you pray for good weather, you're going to have good weather, but not necessarily so, because the Lord doesn't necessarily want you to have good weather and have a wonderful picnic. He wants you to have a certain trial where you will develop some godly characteristic like patience or long-suffering or charity or, hope. Hope is not dreaming, oh, I wish, but hope is a knowledge that the future is going to be better. And it will be. It doesn't matter what politicians say. The future is bright. The future is going to be amazing. Just be grateful. There you go. That was my sermon for today. Thank you for coming. Anyway, so you can make pumpkin pie. I'm a wise lady and I always get something positive from your face. Thank you. Arrive late and we'll remind to watch the beginning. Okay. Thank you. Thank you all. You make me feel good. You make my status feel up. And this belonging thing, I belong to you guys. Like, what was that one that starts with a C? I can never remember what that is. Certainty. Yeah, and I know that you guys are nice. And I know that even if nobody's watching and I'm speaking to an empty camera, one day, one person is going to watch it. And it doesn't matter if 1 million people watch it or not. Anyway, but you guys do fill a big need in my life. I'm not lonely and I'm not bored because I have you guys asking for, can you teach us how to make an apple pie? So today was apple pie day. And thank you for that. That was really cool. Okay, so you can do this at home. Results may differ. And remember, you saw it here last. Bye-bye. Where's that button? X marks the spot. Bye-bye.